Tonight I wanted to start my video series on my homemade cigar box amplifiers that I've been making. I have 5 of these amps that I built so far. Each one of them has the ability to be run on batteries, or you can run them off AC. Each one of these is a little bit different. They all have their specialty. I look at it as like tools in the toolbox. Each one has its own special application. Some have a better clean sound, some have a better distortion sound, and it also depends on, each one of them has built-in effects inside of them, so it depends on what effects are built into there too. And like I said, there's 5 of them, so there'll be 5 videos. I'm probably going to split the videos up into 2 parts. The first part being where I give you an overview and a little bit more detailed look inside the amplifier and how it works and the controls, and the second part would actually be the demo where I play an instrument through it. So tonight's video is on, I guess I call this the Cigar Box Amp. It's the first one that I've made, and I'm going to go ahead and we'll take a closer look at what's inside of this puppy. So looking at the front of this sucker, you can see the speaker grill says JBL. I'm not sure where I picked that grill up. The speaker inside definitely isn't a JBL, but it's a pretty heavy duty. I think it's is that a 4.5 in there, looks like. I decorated the front with a couple little pieces I had laying around, including a Samsonite emblem that came off of a suitcase that I garbage picked out of the dumpster from the second-hand store. Which brings me to a good point. I try to do everything as cheap as possible here at my house, and if I can recycle stuff, it makes me feel even better about my creations. So when you're looking at my work, a lot of it looks pretty Gilligan's Island, and just keep in mind I like it that way. Moving on to the top portion of it, the oversized knob, the chrome knob, that's for the delay time, and that's a modification that I did on the delay pedal that's inside of here. That knob came off my grandma's old black and white TV set, and it had been sitting in my junk drawer since I was a kid, probably about 9-10 years old. The handle came off of a slide-out computer power supply. The brackets that mounts on there's something for roller blinds that came out of an apartment window. And I got a couple blue LEDs, and those switches came out of some kind of a dumpster contraption. Moving on to the right side panel, this is where all the controls for the effects are and the input. There's 2 inputs at the bottom. I'll get to that later. The jack just above that, that's for the remote switch to turn the effects on and off. The next switch is a powering switch. That switch above that, I believe that's powering as well. I really don't remember. And then you see the knobs for the delay and the chorus. The delay is up at the top. Now we'll go ahead and open this sucker up. You can take a look at it. Has internal battery holder for C batteries to run the amp, and then there's a spot at the bottom. They're not in there now, but there's a couple of 9-volt batteries that run the effects. Those were Dan Electro Chorus and the Dan Electro Fab Echo. I bought a 4-pack of those pedals for, I believe it was $20 or $29 from Guitar Center for 4 pedals. And each one of those pedals they have 2 circuit boards each inside of them, which was kind of a challenge, but they're pretty well modified out. I ran extension lights for the LEDs, and the delay time, I removed the resistor it was an SMT, one of those tiny resistors, removed that and then ran that up to that real ugly pot that's over on the right. There's powering options on here. There's DC input jacks, and so you can run batteries or the AC adapters, which is great. Now moving on to the amp board, this came out of a kitty tape deck. It was like one of those Fisher Price things with the microphone on it, and we went to the Salvation Army and they had 2 of those units in stock. The one was a Fisher Price and the other one was like a Happy Joy Chinese brand. Looked really junky. We managed to dig up an adapter and test them out, and the Fisher Price one was unbelievably quiet. Now it turns out the Happy Joy, there was a limiter switch inside of there, but when we shut that limiter off, this sucker was screaming. I mean, it was feeding back in the Salvation Army, and it was about $1.50 if I remember. And it turns out, as you'll hear from the video, the tone on that amplifier is surprisingly good. I was really, really thrilled about that, because for $1.50 for an amp circuit, I mean, you just can't beat it compared to what some folks would pay to have to build a kit. I really think it's a no-brainer to me. but I seem to be the only one that enjoys doing that method that I'm using. Now moving on the side panel, there's an output jack for the second channel. That amplifier was stereo. He had 2 channels, so I went ahead and took advantage of the second channel by putting in an input and an output for it. So you can plug an external speaker and a microphone or drum machine or whatever have you, and go ahead and take advantage of that. There's also another little DC input jack. There's 2 inputs. I have separate powering for the amp and the effects. I mean, I tried to run it off one, and there was always issues with noise and different things, so it's kind of a hassle, but it turns out it just runs better. So if anybody has any ideas how I can work my way around that powering issue, it'd be much appreciated. This is amp number 1. It's the first one I made. It has a chorus circuit, a modded delay. The delay is modified to make a long echo, like a second and a half or something, as opposed to the 1/3 of a second or 342 milliseconds that it came stock. For the purpose of these tests, I'm going to be trying to keep it fair and use the same guitar for the most part. So this will be featuring my Korean Court 45 garbage pick guitar. And thank you so much to my younger brother Bjorn. He was kind enough to give this to me for Christmas one year, and I was just absolutely ecstatic when I received this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and shut my fluorescent light off. It's giving me a little bit of hum through this amp circuit here. So starting off, I'm going to use, speaking of hum, I've got single coil mode on here with the bridge pickup. Going up to the neck pickup, single coil. Okay, humbucker mode on the bridge pickup. Let me see if I can clean that up. Overdrive there. Now I'm coming up to the neck pickup in humbucker mode. Okay, clean. Chorus. Okay, little long delay. Same thing on the neck pickup.